Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our TED Talk, Optimizing Surveys, How to Unlock High Quality and Accurate 1P Data Through Feedback and Intrinsic Value Exchange.
I'm Evan Doubleday with Publishers Clearinghouse.
I'm Leslie Rich with Alchemer.
And today we're going to be talking to you about fixing surveys, how to unlock high-quality first-party data through intrinsic value exchange. Kind of a mouthful of a title, but I promise you the ideas that we're going to talk about are going to be a lot easier to wrap your head around. Now, this wouldn't be SampleCon without a survey, right? So I want to do a little poll of the audience. By show of hands, how many of you are familiar with Publishers Clearinghouse, the brand? Nice. Love to see that. And then how many of you are familiar with Publishers Clearinghouse because of the big checks? Yes. That was the show of hands I was hoping to see. When I tell people I work at Publishers Clearinghouse, I almost always get kind of a story or an anecdote about the big checks, and I love to hear that. But what I find really interesting about these stories is that it really shows the power that a strong value exchange can have for a brand or a company. And what do I mean by value exchange? Value exchange is an action or a transaction between two parties where both receive value. For us in the research space, I think it's pretty straightforward that the value we're getting from a survey is a survey completion. But what is the value for the user or the respondent? Usually when we talk about value, it comes in the form of money, a coupon, or a gift card. But there are legitimate forms of value that users can find compelling to share their time and energy outside of just a monetary exchange. Here are some examples of other forms of value that online users find compelling and legitimate to spend their time on. Things like save me time, give me a recommendation, teach me something new, learn something new, test my knowledge around trivia, which is always a fun one. But a big one up here is entertain me. Entertainment, I always think of social media, the amount of time that people are spending on social media nowadays. One could argue there's not a lot of value in that, but the reality is people are spending hours and hours every single day scrolling through their phones on social media, engaging with mobile apps, because they find it entertaining. They find value in it, and enough value that they're willing to spend, hours of their day on social media. And this is really the whole idea that PCH has built our business on. And a lot of people know us for the big checks, but our entire business is built on two key value exchanges. Chance to win, sweepstakes, which kind of everyone knows us for, and then entertainment. A user is going to PCH and engaging with the brand in exchange in this overall chance to win universe. So the key here, especially in the survey space, is that there's not a one-to-one exchange of money for a survey completion. It's built into the chance to win universe. And this has been really successful in the sample space over the last 4 years. A user comes in, engages with the brand, they download mobile apps, they play games, they take a survey, and they earn tokens all seamlessly. They're taking surveys seamlessly through this ecosystem, and it separates from that one-to-one exchange of completing a survey in exchange for money. There's a more authentic and organic draw to the brand and the interaction other than just what they're getting at the end of each individual survey. And this allows for, this creates really high quality respondents because you're not going to get fraudsters and bots who are gaming the system for a 1 in a billion chance to win the super prize. There's that authentic draw to the brand where people are willing to take a survey because it's part of a larger thing that they find fun and entertaining. The other interesting use case that this gamification has unlocked is the ability to progressively profile users. So by having a lightweight, seamless survey inserted around something fun like a surprise wheel or a slot pull, we're able to ask demographic, education, household income, employment questions, and build an identity graph on these users. This allows for better placement of higher value, lower incidence rate studies that will maximize earning opportunity, but we're building a data set on these users that is unlocking additional revenue streams past just a survey completion. And this approach and this strategy wouldn't be possible if we didn't have the tools and infrastructure in place, and that's where Leslie and the team at Alchemer have been a huge help all along the way.
Thanks, Evan. So I don't have fun slides like the big checks. I'm representing software, which I know many of you don't think is very interesting, but it's what's funneling and making all of this work. So just a quick background on what Alchemer is about. We're a survey software. We have much more beyond that, but for the purpose of today's talk, just so everyone understands, this is the basis of how PCH is running their surveys. They're actually using our Alchemer software. So we did a webinar a couple months ago also, and kind of the big question is, why did PCH choose us? So I'm just going to touch on some of those key things today and how it works with making this value exchange as fair as possible and as rewarding as possible. So with the Alchemer software, we're known for being easy to set up, easy to use. We do have some customers that just run 1 or 2 surveys a year. But then we also have customers who are running very powerful CX feedback programs enterprise-wide. We know PCH was talking to us because they said, we're not quite sure what our solution is. We're going to figure this out with you. So our offering to them was, guess what? It's pretty collaborative as well, and open, flexible, customizable. So we offered kind of just some different customizations around it that I'll get into in a minute, but as well as just ease of use. So on the simple end, anyone can sit down, really, I promise you, and create a survey pretty quickly. If you are a programmer, you have those skills, by all means, go ahead. You can do a lot more with it, and PCH actually does that as well. So setup and ease were kind of the easy things to check off the box. Then next, I'm just going to mention the ability for real-time data access. So, as Evan's mentioned, they're collecting a lot of the data real-time and are using our survey platform. But how does that actually work, and how does it actually go together? Well, what happens with the real-time data access is using our question API. And when a respondent is clicking through the survey, if they're clicking next, they have an API set up that it's pulling that data immediately over into the PCH enterprise system. So talking about building a respondent's identity graph, right? We know more and more about them. That's what this allows them to do using a question API. So it's near real time, as close as it can get. Another thing that's really important is the data privacy. That's what we're here all talking about. I know a lot of the conversations yesterday were around fraud in the industry. I know it never goes away, and it's always the topic of conversation that we're all sick of. Evan's talked a little bit already about how dealing with it and getting the accurate data they get is really incredible, I think, compared to, I feel like, what a lot of sample providers might be struggling with. We really want data privacy, and how do we get that and confirm that it's accurate? We have a couple different solutions for that as well. So we have in the Alchemer software, it's just an anonymous option. So this will allow, someone's funneling through the PCH system, they want to get rewarded, but they don't want to be connected with that data. They don't want PCH necessarily to know who they are in that case, but they want their rewards. So anonymous is an option we have in our software that strips out geolocation IP address, and it puts the respondent through, kicks it back through the systems. Things are pieced together in terms of knowing what's happening. Interestingly, besides just having an anonymous option like that, I loved the talk yesterday about tech intimidation, right? I'm not a product person. I'm a data researcher, so I'm not going to go into all the details of how our product actually works. But your colleague created some code, because you can program and do some other things here, and they call it their middleman code. And what it's doing is it's funneling a respondent who wants to be anonymous into our survey. It's pulled out those privacy pieces of it. We don't even know what they are when they come into the Alchemer survey. They take the survey, they redirect back, and then in a stored cookie that's stripped all of that out, it's added back in so that the user can get the reward. So it's a really fascinating case study for us, looking at how sample works and how you get that authentic information provided back to you. So data privacy is paramount to us as well. And by us offering our solution to be anonymous, that's just a simple way, but with additional skills that kicks it back to PCH, with other ways that they may want to do those things. The customized solutions grow with the business. Just want to touch on that last piece. As I mentioned, they weren't sure when they came to us. They don't know how many millions of responses they're looking to get or thousands of responses. We're doing our best guesstimate when we work with our partners too. So we set them up where they are and said, you know what, if you go over that, you're not going to get penalized. So I think it's kind of a unique thing. It allows them to really grow. They've well exceeded what that allowances are, and that's fine by us. We'll look at that next time. But it just, the customized solutions are something that are there for them. So we knew they needed survey, but they also didn't need a huge enterprise-wide, full software offering that covers survey and all these other things beyond. So our software was available to them as just survey. Let's grow it. Let's make the best of it. We'll see what we do with it and go from there. So I'm happy to say, too, I asked Evan to kind of dig through on his end and give us some data points because, we're all data people here. So I've been fascinated to hear that since our partnership started, they have contacted, they actually have almost 500,000 user respondents who are unique. And then talking about building out that identity graph that we talked about, so they might come in, get a reward. They're constantly building up that profile of themselves, and they now have 30 million data points just from this partnership since it started. So we do recognize there are good ways to reward respondents, and it just takes some collaboration. And I'll kick it back to you for final thoughts.
Awesome. Thanks, Leslie. Yeah, Alchemer team has been tremendous. It's a lot to sift through, those 30 million data points, but it's exciting because the direction that the data landscape is heading is one that I think is really great, especially in the research space. We're really the fuel to the data engine, and that's something I'm really excited about. The two big takeaways, just want to reiterate today. This is a really easy approach. All you have to do is be a 70-year-old sweepstakes company, and you can do these exact same things. No, I'm just kidding. The two main points are thinking about the value exchange and the potential to step outside that one-to-one exchange for the reward just for completing the survey, and the ability to kind of create an overall ecosystem where a user is drawn to the engagement of the brand rather than just the end outcome of the individual survey. That's a big one. And how you can mix in other types of value in addition to the monetary reward at the end. And the other is the data privacy. As Leslie mentioned, data privacy is key. We have to deal with it because sweepstakes has so much red tape. But how you're communicating how data is being used to the respondent is critical. Everyone knows that their data is being used one way or the other. Every time you go on a website, you get served, the ability to accept or deny cookies. And so if people trust and understand how you're going to use the data, you communicate their rights and how they can remove that data if they want to, and then they feel there's a fair value exchange, they're willing to share it. And there are tons of revenue streams and use cases outside of surveys that are just, at the tip of the iceberg. And I think how you communicate that data, the data rights for the consumer, like I said, this space is really the fuel to the fire. So something I'm really excited about in the space. And yeah, I hope this was helpful for everyone. Appreciate the time, and hope you have a nice rest of the show.
Thank you.